We're good. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Kayfabe Central podcast and another episode of the Monday Night Raw post-show review. I see Rue is already in the chat. Shucky ducky quack quack, he says. Oh yes, man. I'm going to be going over Monday Night Raw from January 19th, 2026. Everything that went down from the matches to the segments, all that good stuff, I'm going to be breaking down. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. If you're returning, welcome back. You know how this works. No bread, no water, just meat, says Rue in the chat. Yeah. We didn't get too much meat slapping on this episode of Monday Night Raw, but we got a couple of interesting things and some things that I just didn't really care for. And I think that was the theme for Monday Night Raw, at least for me tonight, because there was just a lot of things. It was either very predictable or it was very just not good on Monday Night Raw. It could be a me thing. I feel like I'm suffering. I was telling Rue this earlier. I feel like I'm suffering for a little bit of wrestling overload recently. So maybe that could be it. We had TNA Genesis on Saturday. We had the AMC debut of TNA on Thursday with SmackDown Friday. Yesterday was really my only day off of wrestling, even though I still did the kayfabe recap yesterday. And then we're back with Monday Night Raw tonight. I'm in Montreal Friday and Saturday for SmackDown and Saturday Night's main event, and potentially even for Raw in Toronto on Monday. So there's a lot that I got to do. There's a lot that's going on, a lot of wrestling. So I'm trying to keep up as best as I can. I feel like I'm doing an okay job, but we're gonna break down Monday Night Raw that went down, or Monday afternoon Raw for me at least, because this show started at 3 o'clock Eastern because they were in Belfast, Ireland. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Before we do though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Speaking of interviews, it's up right now. It dropped at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. My Jax Williams interview just dropped 5 minutes ago. I know I'm kind of counter programming my own content here, but you know what? I didn't decide for Raw to be at 3 o'clock today, now did I? Yeah, that interview is up. So once this post show is over, then you guys can go check that out. Or if you're watching this after the fact and feel like, maybe I'll go check out the interview first, then feel free to do that. We had a great conversation. A fairly short one. It was about 20 minutes, so it's not too long of an interview. You can throw it on while you're doing something, grab a snack or something like that. We talked about the Ontario wrestling scene and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys go check out that interview. I got a lot of stuff planned. I got a lot of things coming to Kayfabe Central this year, and a lot of good things that I have in the books thus far. So make sure you guys stay tuned, keep those notifications on, make sure you're following me on all social medias, all that good stuff. But let's get into Monday Night Raw. Let's just get to it. The show kicked off with Gunther. He came out to a chorus of boos. I was wondering because this is in Ireland. I was wondering if, with WWE being on the European tour and all, how Gunther's been getting a lot of love. I thought that might have translated to Ireland, but obviously not. He came out to a chorus of boos, the "You tapped out" chants. Um, I will say it took me a few minutes, a little longer than a few minutes, to actually remember what happened last week on Monday Night Raw. Like I said, a lot of wrestling, so I forgot for a second. So the crowd started chanting "You tapped out," which they've chanted at him for a whole year now, even after he retired Goldberg and John Cena because of the Jey Uso loss. But Gunther, in fact, did tap out last week to AJ Styles. The ref just didn't see it. But we broke that down last week. Gunther comes out and says he is declaring his spot in the Royal Rumble match and he wants the World Heavyweight Championship back again, which is a strong possibility for Gunther this year. However, it's not that easy because AJ Styles interrupts him. Obviously, the man that Gunther beat last week. And AJ Styles challenges Gunther to a match at the Royal Rumble. Gunther says, I have no interest in pulling double duty. And trust me, as someone who has pulled double duty as a wrestler before, it's not a fun thing. So you know what? I don't blame Gunther for not wanting to pull double duty. So he initially says no. And Gunther goes to leave AJ Styles questions if Gunther is scared. Gunther says there's no incentive to me wrestling you again. I beat you last week. I'm going to go to the Royal Rumble. He goes to leave the ring, but then he comes back in and he's like, actually, there is an incentive. There is something that you can do. AJ, you can put your career on the line at the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. And AJ Styles is stumped because Gunther, he's the new legend killer. He put Goldberg to rest. He put John Cena to rest, and he's looking to do the same thing with AJ Styles. He tells AJ that he has until the end of the night to make his decision. Um, I'll get into like the segment where AJ decided. But I feel like this should have been a bigger moment when AJ decided. Obviously he accepted the match. I might as well just say that AJ did accept the match in a segment with Adam Pearce later on. But I feel like this could have been something better. You could have maybe had a brawl between Gunther and AJ break out a little bit later on in the night, and then you have AJ all fired up, says, "You know what? You want me to put my career on the line? I'll put my career on the line at the Royal Rumble." Um, so it kind of just makes it seem like, AJ got heated and he did it in the heat of the moment. And now he's like, oh man, like everything's at stake now at the Royal Rumble. So I feel like a little bit more storytelling into this would have been a little bit better. But they have what three-ish weeks till the Royal Rumble about that. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they build this. I hope it's not like just segments every single week between these two, or backstage segments where Gunther says, "I'm gonna retire AJ Styles," and AJ Styles also has a segment backstage where he says, "Gunther's not gonna retire me. I'm gonna beat him." Like I don't want to see that. I want to see some story thrown into here. Like if this is AJ Styles' last rodeo, let's give him a story to go out on. Um, I mean, a week on Saturday. Oh wow. Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm forgetting where we are in January. Yeah. So that's even less time. So again, if this is where you're gonna end AJ's career, now I kind of backtracked a little bit there, but I wonder if AJ Styles loses this match, does he just go over to TNA and finish some stuff up there potentially? Because I get it that TNA and WWE are two different worlds. Like that seems to be a case of everything. Like Rue and I were talking about it with AAA, how that's a different universe over there, and how El Grande's a babyface and super over there, but is a heel and is hated in the WWE. So I wonder if AJ loses this match at the Royal Rumble, but his career is technically not over. He just goes over to TNA, has a match with Frankie Kazarian, has a match with Mike Santana for the TNA World Championship, potentially against Nick Nemeth as well if he is to win the TNA World Championship soon. I wouldn't mind seeing AJ Styles versus Mustafa Ali. There's a handful of things that AJ can still do before he retires. So I wonder if like that's what they're gonna do. Um, and maybe he just finishes his career up in TNA. Maybe that's what he wants to do. I have no clue. I have yet to make a prediction on this match, but I am very torn as to who wins this match because do we end AJ's WWE career this early? And like that would mean that he's not even in the Royal Rumble because I'd imagine this match happens before the Royal Rumble, obviously, because Gunther is pulling double duty. He is in the Royal Rumble match as well. And I wonder, like this will mean that AJ's not in the Rumble if he loses to Gunther. So that's going to be very interesting. I hope this is not a case of where WWE books himself into a corner or anything like that. Um, Ruth says, I think so, as it seems so soon. It does seem very soon. Like the year pretty much just started. We're still in January. I thought maybe we're gonna get a WrestleMania match with him. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't see why he wouldn't want a WrestleMania match unless they ran something by him and he's like, you know what? Maybe I'll lose to Gunther at the Rumble and then I'll just go over to TNA to finish some stuff up. There's a partnership there anyway. So I wonder a lot of things when it comes to this AJ Gunther thing. I don't understand the writing of doing this match last week, having Gunther to cheat to win because he didn't necessarily cheat to beat Goldberg and John Cena. And John Cena, according to the WWE, is the greatest of all time. So I feel like they took a very weird route with this. This could have just been, again, story oriented and make a story out of this somehow. Yes, the story is AJ's career is on the line, and to some people, that's good enough. That's not good enough for me. We've seen this so many times before. And I know that AJ is actually retiring this year, so um, I'm very curious. I'm very curious as to where this is gonna go. The first match of the night, though, was the Women's Intercontinental Championship match where Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree went toe to toe. Obviously, Becky Lynch won the title back from Maxine 2 weeks ago on the Stranger Things Raw, so they ran it back tonight. Natalia was backstage before this match, and she said she was going to be in Maxine's corner. Indeed, she was. And then she helped Becky Lynch when Natalia turns on Maxine by putting Becky's foot on the rope. Becky hits the manhandle slam, wins, and Natalia attacks Maxine Dupree afterwards, very viciously. So it looks like we're getting the low-key legend Natty in the WWE potentially. Um, I hope that I hope that's the case. I hope it's not just okay, it's still Natalia, but she's a heel and she's a little bit more meaner. That's not what we want to see. You've been teasing the low-key legend Natty. We want the low-key legend Natty. So I hope that's what we get. Um, I can't see this being a pay-per-view match though. I can't at all. This is a Monday Night Raw match, and if anybody wants to tell me differently, you can go ahead. But this is not a PLE match whatsoever. Um, they haven't done anything to really make me say that, you know what? Maxine and Natty should either be at the Royal Rumble, the Chamber, or WrestleMania. It's not going to be at either three of those. It's going to be on a Monday Night Raw that they do this. It's just going to be a Monday Night Raw feud that they do. Um, because there's no, I don't see this being on a PLE. But no, it's not to say that Natty, as the low key legend, is not going to be good. I think it will be. I think it's a really good and needed change for her character in the WWE because for anybody that hasn't seen how she is in GCW as Natty Neidhart, she is an absolute badass and she kicks ass, man. So I think that this can be a really good step up for Natalia or Natty. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this rivalry. Becky is going to feud with AJ at some point. Everybody, like every single week, thinks AJ Lee is going to return. I don't think that's going to be the case until the Royal Rumble. Like Ru said, we only have a week from Saturday till the Royal Rumble. That is her next scheduled appearance. So that I mean, Becky's probably just gonna cut a promo on Monday Night Raw in the lead up to the Rumble. Hell, she might insert herself into the Royal Rumble as well because there's nothing for her to do. And then she's gonna lose or get eliminated by AJ to set up that match at WrestleMania, which is probably the route that they should go. That's probably the best route to take for this. Um, but yeah, Becky is going to move on to AJ Lee more than likely, and Maxine and Natty are going to be feuding with each other. So, if I'm going to add some positive flair onto this, which, I know a lot of people think I'm just negative about everything, that is not the case. I like that this loss set up two different things potentially. Because we know that Becky is going to go toe to toe with AJ at some point, and we most of us know that AJ is going to be in the Rumble, and Maxine and Natty have a thing going on now, so you easily transition from this loss, which is a very good way of booking things, because when you have somebody lose a match, but then you don't have plans for them after, that's when things kind of start going downhill. So I will throw that bit of positive flair onto it. Um, Backstage we had so we also had a Judgment Day segment, by the way, that I forgot to write down. But Liv Morgan, Roxanne, Raquel, Finn Balor, the whole crew was backstage And Raquel was hyping herself up that she's going to be a women's world champion once Stephanie Vaquer is cured. Um, man, like this women's world championship is under a curse. It's got to be because, man, what is going on? Like Stephanie is hurt. And it seems to be a legitimate injury. It seems to be just a minor injury, though. She seems like she'll be back soon because they haven't like vacated the title or anything like that. Um, but man, like I I don't know what they need to do. It just seems like the Women's World Championship is under a curse right now. But Liv and Roxanne are excited about potentially winning the Women's Tag Team Championships this Saturday. It's Saturday night's main event. And obviously Finn Balor being set up to face CM Punk later on in the night for the World Heavyweight Championship. So that segment happened. We also have Adam Pearce telling Paul Heyman that he's going to be ringside for the six-man tag match later tonight, which catches Paul Heyman by surprise a little bit. Um, it's fine. This is a Vision first Authority angle. And usually when we have Authority first superstar angles, it's usually the Authority figure being the heel and the superstar being the babyface. This is a bit like swapped around, so this could be a potentially interesting thing. We had a thing later on where um, uh, Adam Pearce asked for Braun Breaker to be in the arena next week so he can have a conversation with Braun man to man. So that's going to happen. Braun Breaker is going to be at Monday Night Raw next week. Whether the suspension gets lifted or not, we have to see what's in store. I know there's a lot of people dreaming about Adam Pearce returning to the ring. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. It's all obviously also up to him if he wants to wrestle again. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to actually see Adam Pearce back in the ring. Um, it's possible. It's very much possible, especially if he wants to do it. Um, so like he hasn't said publicly or anything like that or in any interviews, for what I know that he is intrigued in getting back into the ring, but he hasn't said otherwise as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Unless this is a thing just for Braun Breaker to do um, in the meantime, because I was saying that, and Rue was saying as well that this Braun Breaker suspension is to keep him out of the Rumble, because they don't want him to lose the Rumble, but they also don't want him to win it. So keeping him out of it is the best option. So I'm curious to see what this thing with Adam Pearce and Braun Breaker is going to end up leading to. Um, Jey Uso came out by himself again to say that he is going to be entering the 2026 Royal Rumble. I know a lot of people got a PTSD flashback when Jey Uso said he is going to be entering the Royal Rumble. Rusev said this in his live. I don't think we got to worry about Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble this year. I think the WWE may have learned from their mistake. Yeah, I don't think he will. He's a tag team champion right now. Jimmy Uso wasn't here again this week. But I assume that it's either Naomi or just him decision that doesn't want to travel overseas while Naomi is pregnant. So that's very much a possibility. Potentially when they come back to the States or something like that, then Jimmy Uso will be back. We do have a number one contenders match next week, which is the segment that happened next, where the New Day and Grayson Waller approached Adam Pearce and said they want a tag title shot, but Adam Pearce says there's going to be a fatal four-way tag match next week to determine the number one contenders for the World Tag Team Championships. I don't think they announced all the teams that are going to be in there. I'd assume it's the New Day, War Raiders, Alpha Academy, and um, who else do they have on Raw for the tag division? Styles and Dragon Lee is not a thing. Maybe they'll throw, I don't know, like Penta and Dragon Lee in there instead or something like that because I can't think of a fourth team that they potentially, unless they throw Los Americanos in there, actually, that could potentially be what they do. So yeah, that's happening next week. So I know Alpha Academy approached the Usos about a tag title shot. I don't know if they're going to be getting a little bit of a push, or that was just something for them to do, or just a standby backstage segment to burn some time. Because we did have that segment last week where Otis and Akira Tozawa went up to Jey Uso and said they want a title shot, and I thought that was going to be happening this week, but obviously not because Jimmy Uso wasn't here. Um, we then went to the six-man tag team match. That was Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Penta defeating the Visions, Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, and Austin Theory. Adam Pearce was ringside, like he said he would be for this match. And Paul Heyman, Logan Paul, they tried to introduce brass knuckles, but the refs and Adam Pearce caught Logan Paul. And then Adam Pearce grabbed the brass knuckles, threw it aside, and then it was picked up by Rey Mysterio, who used the brass knuckles to help his team pick up the win, which is very interesting. I guess it was just a sliver of payback from Rey Mysterio or something like that. So this was a fine match. I don't think there's anything too special about it. Um, yeah, it was fine for what it was. All six of these guys are talented. As much as I dislike Logan Paul as a person, I think that his character is perfect for the WWE. I just wish it was played by a better human being. But it was what it was. This was a fine enough match for a Monday Night Raw episode. And it continues to build whatever is going on between the Vision and Adam Pearce. Um, yeah. This also brings up the question is like, when is Seth Rollins going to be okay for WrestleMania? Like, are they just killing time until Seth Rollins is absolutely 100% because they know he's going to be 100% for WrestleMania? It's just a matter of when. So I wonder if they're using this to kill some time, and then Adam Pearce eventually brings in Seth Rollins to fight off Braun Breaker, and then that sets up their WrestleMania match. Um, that's probably what I would do in this scenario is Adam Pearce doesn't get in the ring himself, but he says, you know what, there is somebody that you did wrong a few months ago, and he is back for revenge. And then Seth Rollins comes out, and that sets up their feud. So um, that's the route that I would go with that feud. That is if Seth Rollins is good to go. Um, we have who says, "Oh, interesting. I didn't think about that actually." Yeah, it's a weird one because I think that they potential it just seems like they're killing time a little bit with this. That's all it seems. It doesn't like I know some people, like I mentioned earlier, it's standing out to them as, oh, Adam Pearce might get back into the ring, or Adam Pearce might get speared, which that might happen. He might eat a spear. But in terms of him getting back in the ring, it doesn't stand out to me like that. It's more stands out to me of we're gonna kill time until we absolutely know Seth Rollins can come back. Um, so maybe that's what they do. Um, CM Punk is with Jackie Redmond backstage. He says he is aware tonight is an away game. He is in Finn Balor's home field, and he's aware of that, but he plans to prove that he is the best in the world. Um, CM Punk is not the best in the world, but that's his catchphrase, that he's the best in the world. So, a little bit of a, backstage segment there, nothing too crazy. Um, we then had, I went over that segment already. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky made their way down to the ring, and says once they beat Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez on Saturday at Saturday night's main event to retain the women's tag titles, they are both entering the Royal Rumble match. And they say one of them is going to be main eventing WrestleMania. Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez then interrupt their opponents for this Saturday. And Liv and Roxanne kind of question Rhea and Io about how it's gonna work in the Royal Rumble, and then they go ahead and enter themselves into the Royal Rumble anyway. So they kind of just doubled back on what they were saying and bullying Rio for. So but yeah, Liv and Roxanne start a brawl with Raquel Rodriguez, and they get the better of them, and they're standing tall to end that segment. This was a fine segment, I guess. Like I love Liv Morgan, I love Roxanne Perez, and I love Rhea, I love Io, and Raquel is great as well. But this segment just, I don't know, man. This wasn't that great of a segment. And like it felt like a very basic segment, and it felt like um at some point they just started laughing weirdly and loudly because somebody forgot their lines potentially. I know Liv Morgan does the laugh thing, but it kind of makes it a little bit awkward in there. As much as I love Liv, it makes it a little bit awkward. And then Rhea was kind of mocking her laugh a little bit. It was like, okay, this is a bit weird. This is a bit of like a promo you'd see like elementary kids cut or something like that. Or like just a conversation between elementary kids or middle school kids or something like that. Um, but it was what it was. It was just to set up the tag title match later this week on Saturday. Um, Bailey and Lyra Valkyria were backstage, and Lyra feels like she let Bailey down. And Bailey says, "You can never let me down." And they also enter themselves into the Royal Rumble match. So, yeah, they're neither of them are gonna win it. So we can I can cross those off. I'm feeling more and more confident that Bailey is leaving at the end of her contract in early 2027. Or I think it ends late this year, and then I think she's in AEW by January of 2027. Um, I don't I think that they're just killing time with Bailey. She's going to I think that the route they're gonna take is um and this is probably like the worst case is Bailey eliminates Lyra or vice versa, and then they have this weird little feud where they have a couple matches on Raw with each other. But then the story doesn't end until WrestleMania, and then they do a WrestleMania match, and then that's it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I would much rather see them involved in a multi-woman tag match for the tag titles at WrestleMania. I think with how hot the women's tag division is right now and how much you're heating it up with Lash and Nia, Bliss and Flair, Rhea and Io, Liv and Roxanne, Bailey and Lyra. You've got the names there. Put them in something like regarding the tag titles at WrestleMania. And it kind of puts them in a weird spot though, because especially with people like Rhea and Io, because those are like main single stars. Like those like they thrive in the singles division. And obviously the match that a lot of us dream about is Rhea versus Stephanie Vaquer. So how do we get there? Does Rhea and Io drop the titles on the road to WrestleMania? Maybe they drop it this Saturday to the Judgment Day, which is whatever. But do they actually do that Rhea and Stephanie match at WrestleMania? Because I would think that they should. I would think that if you have the opportunity to do Rhea and Stephanie at Mania, you do that. Don't wait for SummerSlam or anything like that. Don't wait for Evolution if you do that pay-per-view again this year. Um, do it at WrestleMania. That's your money match. That's what you have to do for the Women's World Championship. And then whoever comes out of that, whatever, whether it be Stephanie or Rhea, whatever they choose. But that's your money match for WrestleMania, I feel, which makes it a little bit awkward sticking like some main singles stars in the tag division for the women's tag titles. But this is fine for right now. Maybe this is just a way of giving Rhea something to do on the road to WrestleMania. I feel like that's the theme of WWE when we get to this time period on the road to WrestleMania. They have plans, but they don't know what to do with those people going into WrestleMania. So they kind of just have them in like miniature feuds or whatever. So maybe that's the route that they're taking. Bayley's the future AEW Women's Tag Champ. I strongly believe so as well. I think her and Mercedes are going to win those tag titles at some point next year. I'm curious as to what she's gonna go as in AEW. Maybe she just goes as like Pam or something like that. I forget what she went by on the Indies, but maybe she goes with her Indies name potentially. Um, Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what she does. But yeah, I think that they're just killing time. I think maybe they know Bailey's not coming back. But we'll see where it goes. Um, we then had Javon Evans taking on El Grande Americano, and now this is where the show kind of took a turn for a lot of us because during commercial, which I did not see because apparently here in Canada we get actual advertisements now during these shows, so I didn't see exactly what happened, but Javon Evans injured his wrist or shoulder. Whatever. He at first he was holding his wrist and it was his shoulder. So maybe it's one of those things where he injured his wrist, but the pain kind of sprung up to his shoulder and maybe he lost feeling into his shoulder. Either way, it was bad enough for the ref to stop the match and call it off, and he was helped to the back. This sucks, man. The guy just got to the main roster and he's hurt. I hope it's not serious. I haven't heard anything in terms of what the injury actually is. I'm assuming we'll hear something maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow, and get some more information on the Javon Evans injury. But this is super, super unfortunate, man. And like, this hurts because I'm such a big fan of Javon Evans, and he has the biggest and brightest future ahead of him. But unfortunately, man, he got hurt. It's wrestling, it happens, but it couldn't have happened at a worse time on the road to WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble next week. I think it would have been his first Royal Rumble if he was in it. But if this injury is serious, then I can see that like he's more than likely not going to be in the Rumble. And I really hope he doesn't miss WrestleMania, but it depends on the seriousness and the severity of this injury. So, prayers out to Javon Evans, wishing for a speedy recovery, man. Yeah, sucks to see. Sucks to see Javon Evans hurt. It sucks to see anybody get injured. But that's that's how pro wrestling is, right? That's the business. Yeah, you're gonna get hurt sometimes, which is why anytime somebody who's a non-wrestling fan talks to me about like, oh, it's fake or whatever, I tend to just ignore them, and it's such a stupid argument because we have stuff like this that happens, and we've had this happen a lot, and um, we've had a lot of injuries happen in the past year, which is really unfortunate. But again, it just goes back to what I was saying. That's just the business. Unfortunately, you're gonna get hurt sometimes, and Javon Evans did. So again, wishing for a speedy recovery for Javon Evans. Um, Backstage, Finn Balor was with Jackie Redmond. He is hyped up. He is ready for his main event match against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. He thinks CM Punk is underestimating the magnitude of this World Championship match, and he says there will be a new Irish World Champion by the end of the night. So a fired up Finn Balor promo here with Jackie Redmond. So there was that. Before the main event, we had a backstage segment with Asuka and Kairi Sane. Now, Asuka is blaming Kairi Sane for losing the women's tag team championships, just proving that Asuka is a terrible friend. And Asuka says it hurt just as much as Io turning on her. And Kairi says, you know what? I'm going to make sure you win the Royal Rumble. Asuka calls Kairi a good girl. It's weird. There's some weird mannerisms going on here. I need this to stop. I I can't I can't take much more of this. I need this to stop. There is so many better things that these two can be doing than a segment like this. Kairi saying, if in a perfect world where the Kabuki Warriors are on a tag team, Asuka is in the world title picture, and Kairi Sane is challenging for the Women's Intercontinental Champion. That is what we should be doing, not whatever the hell this is. Like, this was terrible. This was terrible. The Kairi Sane stands and the Asuka stands, you guys can come at me all you want, but there's no way you can you can defend this. There's no possible way because this just wasn't good. It's not good. And Rue and Stu, Rue says, I'm with you on this. I'm with you now on this. Because Rue and Stu, they were defending like the whole Kyrie Oscar thing with Oscar yelling Kyrie and whatnot. And for like a week or two for me, it was funny, but then it got really played out. I didn't really care for it. I saw the awkwardness in the segments from the get-go. Um, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. Uh, that this was just bad. And, like I'm trying to put this into proper words here. Uh, these two are so damn talented. They're so damn talented. And I know I said Kyrie's getting a little bit sloppy in the ring. That can change. She can put in some more work and get better in the ring. She's still a good wrestler. She can still go out there and wrestle. Asuka is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Whether you agree or disagree with me on that, she is. She can go in that ring. She doesn't age a bit. Um, so there's so many better things that these two can be doing. This was god awful. This hands down was one of the worst segments I've seen on Monday Night Raw in the past few weeks. In quite some time, I should say, honestly. This was bad. And we need to figure something out better for them. But yeah, that was that. Um, I'm kind of just breezing through this episode here. But we then went to the main event, the World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Finn Balor. Finn Balor comes out with his Prince entrance theme, the NXT entrance theme. A lot of people were hoping for the Demon. We did not get the Demon. It wouldn't have made sense to bring the Demon out, especially knowing that he was going to lose. I think a lot of us knew that Finn Balor was going to lose here. I didn't think there was any chance in hell that Finn Balor won this match. Um, I think there's going to be a lot of people that enjoyed this match, and that's fine. And I think that they put on a decent showing. For me, I feel like this match could have been much better. I was expecting so much more from this match, and they I don't know if it was maybe time constraints or whatever the case may be. I feel like this match could have been a lot better. It kind of just felt that we had a couple things at the start of the match, then we went to commercial, then we had CM Punk work the heat a little bit, and then we had a bit of a back and forth, and then we had Balor kicking out of a GTS, we had um, Punk kicking out of a coup de grace, and then Punk rolling through for another GTS and hitting the GTS for the win. I feel like there could have been so much more in this match. Um, yeah, this match could have been a lot better. I'm not gonna say it was terrible, but I'm not gonna say that it was great either. And that sucks saying it about somebody like CM Punk and Finn Balor because again, two excellent competitors, but there was something missing about this match for me. Maybe it's the way that Raw was the entire show. Maybe I was just drained from Monday Night Raw because in all honesty, for me, this was not a great episode of Monday Night Raw. I got almost nothing from this. I didn't feel there was any, other than the AJ Styles Gunther stuff, I didn't feel there was any advancement in any storylines whatsoever. It kind of just felt rinse and repeat on Monday Night Raw. It's the go home show, so who cares, right? The big thing was Becky Lynch and Finn Balor defending their titles because we're in Ireland. That's great for the crowd in the arena, but what about everybody else who's watching outside of Ireland and who's watching and covering this stuff outside of Ireland? It wasn't a great episode of Monday Night Raw. They have delivered much better things on these international episodes of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, whatever the case may be. They have definitely delivered more. Um, and I feel like this was just a mediocre episode of Monday Night Raw. I'm just going to say that I was straight. The um like Rue says I didn't mind the main event, but yeah, I know what you mean about the burnout currently. That's why AAA was a breath of fresh air for me. That's completely fair. Um and again, I'm not saying the main event was terrible. Like it was not a terrible match. It was a good match, but I feel like they could have performed a lot better. Maybe I just hold certain wrestlers to a certain standard, and then when that standard is not met, I'm a bit disappointed. Maybe that's what it was, but um, there was something missing about it. But I think this whole episode of Monday Night Raw was it wasn't god awful. It was fine. It was whatever. We're moving on to the next week. We're moving on to Saturday night's main event. That's the way I look at it. I got really nothing from this episode. Um, like even the Gunther and AJ stuff, kind of predictable that Gunther was going to make AJ put his career on the line. Now, what's not predictable is the outcome of that Royal Rumble match. So I kind of like that. I kind of like where they're going with Gunther and AJ. I just want a little bit more story added onto that. Whatever, they plan to add to that. Just some more tension is what I want. I want more tension between AJ Styles and Gunther. But yeah, Monday Night Raw as a whole was fine. It wasn't the greatest Monday Night Raw episode. So that was that. That was Monday Night Raw in Belfast, Ireland, for January 19th, 2026. As always, if you're watching this after the fact, make sure you guys drop your comments down below. And if you're in the live chat with Rue, make sure you guys leave me your comments in the live chat, your thoughts on Monday Night Raw. And as we're on the final stretch of this live and this post show, make sure you guys are dropping your thoughts in the comments and dropping your comments after the fact as well. Once again, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel, like my Jax Williams interview that is now out on YouTube and Spotify. So go check that out. Just follow me on all social medias. That's where all my announcements and new stuff goes, whether that be X, Instagram, Facebook, even at times as well. So make sure you guys go check out all the links down in the description. Follow me on TikTok. I post a variety of different content over there as well. But that is going to do it for me for the Monday Night Raw post show. We'll enjoy SmackDown on Saturday night's main event this weekend, man. I appreciate that. I will indeed, and potentially Monday Night Raw in Toronto as well. So it's going to be a very busy weekend for me. So I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you popping in, and anybody else who may have popped into the live but didn't leave a chat. I appreciate all of you guys as well. Yeah, I will be back on Wednesday for the AEW Dynamite post-show review, and that is more than likely going to be my last post-show review of the week. I'll see if I can schedule some stuff to come out. It'll most likely be just some clips or whatever the case may be, but I am going to record some content either tonight or tomorrow, or maybe Wednesday. So I can schedule it. So for a while I'm gone, it's not completely empty. You guys still got some stuff coming to you. So I will see you guys on Wednesday. And until then, take it easy.